Hey everyone, Chris Sawyer here. The Varietal Show is back. I am here at Saini Vineyards. We are in Dry Creek Valley. For those of you that don't know where Dry Creek is, you go straight up Highway 101 through Sonoma County. You take a left at Dry Creek Road, right at when you pass the little town of Hillsburg, and here you are. You just show up and the Sainis are waiting for you. It's a brilliant thing here in wine country. This is a real family that really does farm their crops. It's really been into this. This is John, the dad, and Mike, the son. And John, your dad was here a long time ago. We're talking 1917 when they purchased this property. You might notice that if you go back in your calendar, you're like, oh, wait a second, wasn't that during Prohibition? Yes, it was. Some of this fruit was sold for sacramental purposes. But today it is actually bottled since 2008 under the Saini label. They still sell a good amount of crop to other people. But you know, tell us a little bit about this land, John, and how it got developed.
Well, the original property was purchased in 1917 by my grandfather and his brother-in-law, John Cuneo. My grandfather's name was Mike, and that's how it all started. And we've farmed prunes, apples, pears, walnuts, grapes. On the hill up here that you can see, that was when they purchased the land. It was actually in grape production.
Yep.
Because they used to plant grapes where the soil wasn't too good and prunes on the heavier soil.
It's a good lesson, you guys. Plant it where the soil is not good.
Yeah. Yep. So anyway, now we farm a little over 300 acres, and we have it all planted in grapes now. Absolutely.
We're going to talk about red wines in a couple minutes, but I really wanted them to open this bottle for us to taste and to talk about. This is a really fun bottle. This is Nonno's. This is the Bianco. This goes back to the real history of something that was very, very important, a grape variety that was very important and still is very important. It's called Chenin Blanc. If you guys have not had Chenin Blanc, you need to, and you probably need to buy some of this too. But the fact is, Chenin Blanc is a very great grape. It came from basically Loire Valley is where we knew it very well. It goes down to South Africa. It's all over the place. It's a really popular grape to grow. It kind of fell out of the trend when Chardonnay came around, and now it's coming back. And you've had this growing here for how long?
Oh, we've had Chenin Blanc on the ranch for a good part of 40 years. We've had different purposes that we've used it for: champagne, sparkling, still white wine. And a couple years ago we had this idea to bring back what my great-grandfather used to do, and that was go to all the vineyards, white wine or white varietal vineyards, and pick what was left over and make a really intense white wine. And so we thought, what better than to pair it with a little Sauvignon Blanc, which we also grow here. And so we came up with the idea, hey, let's put them together, and it's worked out great.
Yeah. In the old days, you used to sell these grapes to Gallo and to Corbel. And remember, in the old days, you guys, there weren't that many wineries here. There were small mom and pop places like them that you said your dad would go out and use the second crop to make a white wine for the family. And it was a very precious thing for them. Sauvignon Blanc has really come into being important here. You know, thank David Stair from down the street who really helped do that as well. Dry Creek is a very special area, and as John was just saying, you can grow just about anything here. I mean, it's really not just a beautiful area, but it's very important to so many people. Last year, 2023, was the 40-year anniversary of this appellation. I did a little presentation for the Dry Creek wine growers up at the, what do we call it, up there on the hill, forget it right now, but it's got where the horses are. You can go up on the hill, and it's where you can look over. It's called Ranch. At the ranch
by Lake Sonoma.
By Lake Sonoma. And actually, that was the year that the dam was finished, in the same year that this became an appellation. So things have changed here a little bit. That lake wasn't really there, 50, 60 years ago. It is now. Do you remember those times?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah. Because, I remember pre-dam and the floods we used to get and such. But no, it's really changed Dry Creek, the dam.
Yeah, it's a big lake now, you guys, and it's in good shape now. We got lots of water these past couple of years. These grapes are grown right down there near where the old river was and where it used to flood a lot. There's a certain kind of there's a lot of different types of soil here, like there are in Sonoma County, but there's also a kind of a pressed one that was kind of right there that goes down along that river that kind of created its own kind of soil. Yeah. It's alluvial, and then it's kind of the stuff that was pushed down there. There's all sorts of things going on just across the street here. It's like, how is it to farm these kinds of white grapes?
Well, we have two different elevations here. It drops off 60 feet from where the tasting room here is, and we primarily grow all the reds on the well-drained soil. The heavier soil on the bottom, what we call river bottom, is traditionally with Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay, and Chenin Blanc. Yeah. And it's two different elevations. Up here it's rocky, well drained, and on the bottom we have, in some spots, have 14 to 16 feet of topsoil.
Unbelievable.
So it's a lot different.
Yeah, so it's really unique down there, and boy, does it make it. You grow some good grapes. I mean, they're really good in here. I really think that it's also very floral, very pretty on the nose. What was like your family? When would you serve this wine back in the old days? When your dad would make it?
Well, my grandfather was my grandfather.
Oh, grandfather. Sorry.
Yeah, no, he would bring it out at family occasions, and he was pretty proud of that. But he was also a good red wine maker. He was very proficient in that.
Yeah, a lot of Italian families here. We're talking about Genoa here with this family heritage. We've got all sorts of Italian last names here. You can just go down the road. You see a bunch of people with last name that ends with an I or an O, probably Italian. Usually A's too are Italian. But it's a really interesting thing that Little Italy kind of came here. It is our version of Little Italy in Sonoma County. There is some, a little bit in Russian River. They were the ones that planted the Zinfandel in Russian River. There was some old heritage also in
Martinelli.
in Martinelli and all these guys. Once again, ends with an I there. Saini too. Just a really great thing. When we get into red grapes, we were talking about what's right behind us right now, John.
This happens to be a Merlot block. Okay. But we've got, tell them the varieties.
We've got Carignan and Sangiovese, Zinfandel. We have Cabernet on some of the hillsides, and it just lends itself. We can really Grenache. Right behind us, we have some, and it just works really well here on this bench.
All the red varietals that are here do really well because the soil is a rocky, well drained, and we get the color in the wine and what we're looking for.
Well, one of the reasons I wanted to interview these two really bad is because of these wines, which are just amazing. And also, we're just big award winners at the recent North Coast Wine Challenge that we do. These were gold medal wines. I've always loved this brand since it came out, a number of years ago. But it's just fun to be able to taste wines that they grow here on the property and put their heart and soul into making sure that they're really high quality grapes. That's why they sell a lot, is because people want to, they stand in line to get these grapes. And this is kind of a fun one. This is a 34% Grenache, 33% Carignan, and 33% Sangiovese. So basically a third of each is basically what it comes down to. One thing that always kind of intrigued me about the Italians when they got here, especially the Russian River ones, they found these areas where it was sunny enough, kind of closer to the freeway, and these little nooks and crannies there, and they planted more Zinfandel. They didn't bring any Sangiovese with them, and they really weren't even that interested, it seemed. But you guys did, you know, you guys have always loved Sangiovese, and this is a kind of a cool thing that's in here. You don't find Grenache and Carignan are two Rhone varieties, but Sangiovese, what made you put the Sangiovese in here to create something so interesting?
Well, there was a neighboring vineyard that we got and developed the wood, and we put it on a location that we thought would do well, and it has. It's been popular with other wineries, and then we had the ability to blend it with what we wanted. I think it gives a whole different profile to red wine when you put the three together, because our Carignan is very color
intense. Yeah,
it's intense.
It's really intense.
I mean,
intense, you guys.
Yeah, intense, and we get really good color.
Yeah,
and
yeah, Carignan. I mean, I think the largest concentration of it is up in Redwood Valley, up in Mendocino County. A bunch of Italian people up there too. But you know, they're old gnarly vines. How old are these Carignan vines?
They were planted in 1942.
1942.
So I gotta do the math backwards right now, but
once
they were
again,
42.
That's during the war, you guys. So remember, Prohibition, the war, they're all in it. You know, in it to win it. So this is a really this wine makes me want is really good food. It makes me want pasta with a nice, really homemade little pasta sauce, like red, you know, like tomatoes that you just picked out in the garden and you made it right there.
For Easter, we just paired this wine with a smoked brisket, and that went very well.
That works for sure.
So the kind of the fun story about this wine is, and you asked Chris how, you know, kind of putting them together, but in 2012, was it 12 or 13? 12 was the first year that we put all three of these wines together, three varietals, and my son had just been born, and he was sitting on my lap, and we had some extra, had a barrel of each from a bottling that we didn't do, and I said, Angelo, pick out the blend that you like, and he was on my lap, and at 6 months old, he decided that this is what he liked, and it was kind of it's what I want to have to my tribute and legacy to my son, is my father has provided kind of a canvas, and we're giving Angelo the paintbrush and let him have a chance to paint his pictures. So.
And that's why it's called Angelo's paintbrush, you guys. Go figure. It's got pretty deep meaning. It's the next generation. He's the 5th generation?
He's the 5th on my Saini side, and then on my mom's side, he's the 6th.
Oh, the 6th. Okay.
In Hillsburg. So
yeah.
It was kind of a fun thing for him to get into.
Pretty amazing. I mean, this is just a great story. This wine is delicious, you guys. I believe that my team was the one that awarded this the gold. I'm just saying, because we had all the Italian blends, and I think they probably put the Sangiovese one in with ours.
Yeah.
We didn't know the varieties. We didn't know the prices or anything, but we did know it was a gold medal winning wine. I just didn't know whose it was because it was blind, and here I am tasting it with the two guys that make this stuff. And then we're here, you know, really kind of just, you know, it's right here in this vineyard where it comes from. I mean, isn't that amazing, you guys? There's a lot of great wines out there that aren't really from the people's vineyards. There's a lot of boutique wineries that source fruit from here. There's a lot of great wineries just overall in Dry Creek Valley, but this is really from the vineyard right into the bottle, pretty much, is right here. It's a great opportunity to taste this with you two. It's great. What do you like to have with it usually, besides the brisket? You don't make brisket every day, do you?
No, we can't do that every day. No, I'm spoiled. My wife's a phenomenal cook, so I get to try it with everything. Pasta, We do some short ribs, chicken.
Yep.
She's got a great grilled chicken recipe on the barbecue that's wonderful. Really, that wine we can do with anything.
Yeah.
It works very, very well.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it really does have that plum cherry kind of flavors to it. Really balanced, though. I mean, it feels good in the mouth. It's pretty silky, actually.
Yeah.
You know, it's not rustic. Like a lot of people would say, oh, Carignan, that's old school. Like that's going to be rustic tasting. It's not at all. It's
I think the Sangiovese really molds and rounds all the
I think the climate for the Carignan here is just right. A lot of places that the Carignan is grown and produced it's a hotter climate, and they get a lighter color and intensity.
I don't mean to dump this out, you guys. I really don't want to, but I'll taste some later. But you know, when we talk about Dry Creek, I think if you said to most people, even though you can grow just about anything here in Dry Creek, and you said, what's the one grape that you think about when you think about Dry Creek? A lot of people would say Zinfandel. It really has a signature here. It's really been here, and you still have the old vines here. So what's the oldest vines from Zinfandel that's here, you guys?
1929 is our current oldest planting. We had plantings that were in the teens, and we've since started redeveloping those blocks, and so currently 1930 is our, 1929, 1930. And this is actually our olive block, which is kind of our flagship wine, and these vines were also planted in wartime, 1942.
1942 in this glass. And this is a working place, so that's some noise back there from a truck, but it's a real vineyard, you guys. No playing around here. Yeah. You know, as far as just growing up here, John, you know, what was it like back, you know, when you were a kid, when you were Mike's age? What was it like back here? You know, back in the 70s and the 60s. What did it look like here versus what it is now?
Multi fruit produced here. You know, like I had mentioned, we had 3 or 4 different crops that on the heavier soil. We had the prunes and apples,
yep,
and pears growing, and it was all I've ever known is, I mean, it's work.
It's work.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you a good story. Right next door, and last year I did an interview with Lee Nall, and she had a good story that she started drinking coffee when she was 11 years old, and it's because that could get her a little bit more energy to keep picking those prunes. You know, and they did not start the high school until all of the prunes were picked. Can you believe that, you guys? It's true.
Yeah. My wife actually started, and she picked with Lee. My wife started when she was 5. That's how they made their school clothes, and paid for their school clothes.
Which just a tidbit, Lee and my mom, Patty Saini, are first cousins.
Yep, that's right.
And so the Nall, Henderlong, and Saini families have been working together since the 30s, 40s, 50s.
Well, and the Zinfandel has been there watching these guys grow up too. That's an interesting thing about it. Zinfandel is such an amazing grape. You know, we talk about Cabernet. Cabernet lasts about 40 years. Then the yields start going down. The flavors kind of get a little bit different. They're not really, it's time to pull it out. Zinfandel, it hits 40, it's getting a new attitude. It's getting more personality at 40. And these vines have outlived generations of people. You know, what you planted there in the 1920s, it's still alive out here, you guys. And these are the beautiful things about the generations and how they're really represented here in Dry Creek Valley. I think that this is a really special place for that. We see it every time we drive through here, these old gnarly vines. But, you know, they're not on the trellis systems. Everything is perfect today. It's like, you know, Chippendale ad, you know, just everything's perfect. You know, but these are more like little gnomes. They're just like, But you know what? They put out great fruit, and this is a very good example of that.
Thank you.
what really shocked me the other day is we did a vineyard tour, and we had our sign out there and the years that some of these were planted. And my uncle, who was killed in the war in 1943, it hit me out here, and it was pretty emotional that he probably planted some of those vines. So it is a family affair.
It's a family affair, you guys, and that's really Dry Creek in a nutshell there. I mean, this is a special area of Sonoma County. We have a lot of appellations here. We care about them all, but this one is just so unique. It's a little bit different than most. It's actually a really long little valley. People go, yeah, I'll be right down. You know, good luck. Yeah, it takes 15 minutes or maybe 20 minutes from the freeway to get to the dam at least, and that's if no one's in front of you. And yet, what we found here is the diversity of what we can grow. You guys have some cab in the vineyard too?
We have some cab. We have some cab that was planted in the mid '80s,
okay.
And we still farm that.
Yep.
And then we have some newer plantings, and we find that really we can pretty much raise any red grape up here if we a little bit of diligency and a little bit of fine tuning, and we can do it.
Yeah. Well, you always learn new things, and vintages are always special because they all have their own personalities. There's things that are great, and there's things that are kind of hard. You know, these past few vintages have been okay, as far as just good. I mean, last year was kind of actually bizarre because it was a really long vintage. Now that was a trip.
Yeah, and then we went 3 years ago or 4 years ago with 115 for 6 straight days or 5 days, and so yeah, you learn to adapt to your surroundings quickly around here.
And this area of Sonoma County is a very warm area, but it's also, we've got the ocean that way, and it's not actually that far to the ocean from where the bay is, or from where the lake is. So it's a really unique opportunity. But I just love this wine, you guys, and this is like kind of an emblem of yours. It's like an anthem wine for Dry Creek Valley. Is a really well-made Zinfandel that goes with a ton of different food. I mean, I think that this has got a softness and a plushness to it that would be so good even trying it with, like, if you have some really good salmon that's on the grill. You got to have a little char on there, but man, that would be so awesome. What do you like with this, John?
Anything.
Anything. That's the right answer.
As long as it's in your glass, my dad's happy. So by itself or with anything. We do some oven fired pizzas and stuff like that. Yeah. That goes really, really well. Yeah. But we've been able to enjoy wine with anything that we have. So so everything tastes good with it.
It's amazing. Well, this month is Sonoma County Wine Month, and you know what? Every month is Sonoma County Wine Month. They just happen to put a little tag on it, but every month is Sonoma County Wine Month. And you know, the Passport Weekend is coming up. You guys are involved in that. There's been a lot of new traffic coming in here, hasn't there? Yeah. People you've never seen before. People from Texas. People from New York.
That's the best part.
Yeah.
Is all the new relationships and friendships that you nurture and culture those, and we've got clients that have come back and forth, if we want to use that word, for 10 years. And it's just like extended family. So it's great. Chris, you do a great job out here. We appreciate it, and we're gonna be doing a little tour here at Passport time. So it's nice to see new faces here as well.
I'll bring some people by for that. Believe me, I will definitely be at Passport once again. You can find out more information by going to the Dry Creek Valley Wine Growers Association website. And for Saini, you know, there's just Saini Vineyards. It's just easy. S-A-I-N-I. And was it your dad that was called Sai?
Yes.
Sai. Yep. So that's like a little version, but I just love that little nickname. Hey, Sai. He means Saini. But when you say Saini, it means really good wine. So thanks for joining in, you guys. This is super fun, and I'm glad you got to meet John and Mike, and come out and visit them at some point at Saini Vineyards. Cheers.
Okay.
Cheers.
Thank you.